Alrighty, welcome into the Whatcom County Football Podcast. It's episode 47. I'm your host, Ryland Spencer of CascadiaPreps.com. Along with me is Tyler Anderson of Whatcom Preps, and our guest tonight is new Nooksack Valley head coach, Craig Bartl. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
First off, it should be state tournament time. Obviously, no football going on right now. What's a Friday night look like in the Bartl household?
Pretty boring, to be honest. We actually, I try to watch some high school football that's on ESPN. Right now, I'm down in sunny Arizona. My middle daughter is playing in a basketball tournament this weekend, so I get to enjoy the sun right now. So this Friday night is a little bit different than the other ones.
Yeah. Obviously, I said new Nooksack Valley head coach, but you were actually the head coach for one season back in 1999, led the Pioneers to a 6-3 record. Has much changed in the last 20 years out there in Nooksack Valley?
Just a few things, yeah. What hasn't changed are the coaches in our league, and they're legendary, and they've been there since my first go around with Coach Lepper. Ames is different Ames now, but they're going to run and do the same thing. So,
well, and Patrick was actually an assistant. Patrick would have been an assistant when you were the head coach, correct, Tyler?
Yeah, that's right. It was his first year as assistant.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It's actually kind of crazy. It is a lot of the. It's kind of the same teams. I guess Jay Dodd would be different now that he's Blaine comes down into the 1A, but that's actually pretty crazy. Whatcom County in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, right. Everybody's coming back.
Hey, Coach, speaking of that 1999 season, I kind of have a funny story, and I'll tell it from my perspective, and I'm curious to get it from yours. As a 20-year-old at the time for myself, I got this surprise call from the Bellingham Herald asking because they needed help for a stringer as a reporter. They didn't have enough people to cover all the games. And they said, we got this team from Oregon that's coming up to Nooksack to play Nooksack Valley, and it's a non-league game. Here's your shot, kid. Go give it a shot. And I didn't know what to do. I was scared to death. So I went up in the booth. I set up in the booth. I kept stats. And with, you guys had a pretty good lead. I came down to the field with like 2 minutes to go. And I didn't really know what to do. And I think I said something to Tyler Mitchell, like, hey, good game. He was already out of the game. And you turn around and you go, are you talking to my players while the game's still going? And I was so scared. And then you turn around and you go, I'm just kidding. And what do you remember about that game against Clatskanie, Oregon?
I remember that they were huge.
Yeah.
They had some big boys. They just weren't very disciplined. And unfortunately, we had some pretty good players at that point. Boy, that's a ways back, but yeah, that's what sticks out.
Yeah, that was a fun club that you guys had in '99. A lot of really good talent. Moving on from there, you took a job that was not an easy job. The Bellingham Red Raiders were reopening, and they were basically like a new school. A lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores, a few juniors, no seniors. What was that experience like? Because you had to go right into it with a lot of youngsters.
Yeah, that was tough. You're trying to build basically from the ground up, and you're right. We had a lot of sophomores, a lot of freshmen, just a couple of juniors.
Right.
But the biggest question was that unknown of, how are these kids going to perform? They didn't know me. I didn't know them. We didn't really that league back then was incredible.
Right.
And so it was definitely challenging. We had some great kids coming through there. It was just trying to get them into that mindset of playing football.
Yeah.
Are you talking?
Yeah, Ryland, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
A little bit better. Go ahead. Turn it up.
Yes, no?
Barely.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to go with that. after leaving Bellingham, you coached at Ferndale for a few years, won a state championship. Coach Jake Locker, you said before the show when we were talking, you didn't have to do a whole lot with a guy like Jake Locker. How much did you actually have to do with a guy like Jake Locker?
The only thing I really did was before games. Jake used to be so tense and so uptight that in warm-ups, he was throwing the ball all over the place, ducks into the ground, throwing the ball too high. So my real job was to just kind of calm him down. So we told a lot of jokes during warm-ups. I challenged him in practice. I was the scout team quarterback at practice, and he was playing defense. And so I would try to pick on him as much as I could. I think he got me a Brett Favre jersey one year that he asked me to wear as a scout team quarterback. But Jake pretty much did what he wanted to do. And I know that during the game there were times where we're like, no, don't do that. And then, 5 yards or 2 steps for him, and he was gone, and we're praising him at that point. So he was a fun guy to watch, and that whole team was loaded with talent, and they complemented each other really well. So it was a great time to be at Ferndale.
Yeah, I don't think at the higher levels of play you can win a state championship if you don't have an all-around team, even if you've got a future NFL player.
Yeah.
Coach, what do you say? Let's do 5 names here, huh?
All right.
So I'm going to give you 5 names. Give me a 5 or 10 second answer. Just kind of what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear this name? All right.
Okay.
The first name on the list, Matt Galley.
Matt Galley. Matt Galley and I were best friends growing up in high school. We spent, our sophomore, junior, senior year almost every day together. Our senior year, we used to, after sports, go out and play pinball, do homework. No, well, we didn't really do homework. We went out and played pinball a lot. And now he's my boss. So we've continued to stay friends for a long time. Good friends with his family, and yeah.
You're not just saying that because he's your boss.
No, definitely not.
All right, second name on the list, Mike Stacy.
Mike Stacy was, when I played, he reminded me of a guy that I played with named Moses McBride. Just a tough kid that would run hard, do anything you wanted him to do, had a lot of energy. But you had to kind of direct him, like remind him of where to go on the plays. He worked his butt off, and a great kid. And now his kids are competing against my kids.
Number 3 on the list, Tim Sellerite.
Tim Sellerite. Yeah, he's another, very passionate kid. I had him at Bellingham as a freshman. He was our star player. We beat Seaholm in double overtime or something like that back when I was at Bellingham, and he was a key to that. He was an all-around pretty good athlete, played baseball, very hard-nosed kid again. A lefty, I remember that. He's a lefty.
Yep. Number 4, Rob Meyer.
Rob Meyer is he's a superb person. He genuinely cares about kids and the direction that they go, not only in athletics but life. And I've learned a lot from him. He's a good friend of mine, and he has his morals and everything in line with what we all should strive to do.
I just realized something. You left Nooksack to go to Bellingham, and then you come back after Meyer leaves, and Meyer leaves to go to Bellingham.
Yes.
Kind of weird. I don't know why that hadn't clicked in my head yet.
Yep.
The last name on the list, Berger Solberg.
Berger was my mentor. He was my football coach, my teacher. He brought me into coaching. He taught me a lot. I spent a lot of time in his house with him and his wife, Robbie, especially in his last couple weeks. Just spent a lot of time there. He's a guy I definitely miss. if there was anybody, my dad is a great role model, but Berger was right there. Berger was my second dad.
That's awesome, Coach. I never got to meet Coach Solberg, but I wish I did. I've only heard amazing things about him, and me being a Mount Baker grad, I know he graduated from Mount Baker. There was a lot of things that we learned about him over there as well.
Yeah, he tremendous person. My dad actually played. My dad's a Baker grad.
Okay.
And he played with Berger. I think my dad was a freshman or something like that when Berger was a senior. But yeah, definitely a guy that we lost way too soon.
Yeah. So, Coach, when you played at Seaholm, you were a 2-year starter at quarterback. It was primarily a running team, but there was one game that you got to attempt over 10 passes in one game. There was one game that you got to do that. Could you recall what game that was?
Gosh, I do not remember that. No. Was it my junior year against Bellingham?
Junior year against Mount Vernon in a 28-21 loss. You got to attempt 12 passes, completed half of them. I was looking at your stats today, and I just thought, man, that was a running team, those guys.
So I was 50%.
Yeah, that works for me. And Coach, I do have a follow-up question too, because I don't know if you know or if you've listened to the any of the other podcasts that we've done, or you know about what I do. But I've collected a lot of game film over the years, and I've got about probably close to 1,300 games now from the last 40 years or so. Yeah. But you know what I don't have a lot of are games from the 89 and 90 Seaholm teams, the 99 Nooksack, or the 2000 or 2001 Bellingham. So my question is, Coach, you got any game film that I could borrow?
I'll have to look. I might have some game film. I saw you played the one with Galley scoring the touchdown.
Right.
And I used that actually. We were watching that at the house because we're always telling our quarterbacks, carry out your fake, carry out your fake. I'm like, look, Galley scored a great touchdown. Yeah, whatever. He's the principal. So what? Look at the fake the quarterback made. Did you see that? I took people away from that, so he probably owes me on that.
Yeah, that's good. Nice.
Coach, you've been the QB and DB coach the last 2 seasons at Nooksack, so you kind of have a good feel for your team. Who are some of the guys that we should know about as we head towards the spring season, if it does happen?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's going to happen. I have a feeling that we're going to get out on that field at some point. We've had some good surprises from our practices that we've had. I guess winter practices or fall. I don't know what you want to classify them as, but we have Cody Coppinger's out, and he's playing quarterback. So we have probably one of the better athletes in Whatcom County at our quarterback position. We just got to kind of fine tune him a little bit, get him back throwing the football instead of the basketball. Jordan Silva is going to probably take the majority of the role at our F back. When we go one back, he'll be our lone back there. Scout Wittern is our kind of our dual threat receiver and running back. So we think having him and Jordan in the backfield, along with Cody, just his athleticism back there, that will present some problems for some defenses. Defensively, those guys are going to be playing on defense. Scout's obviously a leader on defense. And we may be a little bit young at linebacker, but Jet Triplett, Dawson Kimball are going to kind of be in that linebacker spot. We're not going to be very big, but those guys are really, really smart, and they watch a lot of film. So we're excited to see what they can do. And then we have Cade Eldridge, who's going to be kind of we're going to kind of go back to a little bit more of a tight end look at times this year, kind of bring him in, put him out on the line, and we'll split him out at sometimes. But he's 6'4", 240, and he can run and catch. So we're hoping to utilize him as well.
And he's a sophomore, Ryland. You got to keep an eye on this kid.
Yeah, he's a sophomore.
Kind of sounds like a Tyler. Who was the young man from Linden Christian that was a big guy that could just do everything?
The Sitma kid?
Yeah, Sitma. Kind of sounds like Sitma in a way.
Yeah, he's very, very similar.
Yep.
Coach, you played at Seaholm. You've coached at Nooksack, Bellingham, Ferndale. You spent time in a few different places here in Whatcom County. Tyler and I
love to talk about food. All right. We got to know. You get one meal from any restaurant in Whatcom County. What meal is it? What restaurant and why?
Wow, one meal. I think I got to go to Herb Neiman's and get the steak and prawns.
Hey,
Get the big old steak and get some seafood on there. And gosh, just the way they make that, it just tastes so good. And the seasoning they put on there and the atmosphere there. And it helps that they're a local company or business, but I'd have to say them.
Coach, this next question it's a follow-up, and then I know Tyler's got a couple more. This could define your tenure at Nooksack Valley. When you get that steak, how are you having it cooked?
See now.
Oh!
I'm gonna say medium rare. But that's not how I take it.
Oh, come on.
It's more of a medium well.
I can't get too mad at that. I used to eat medium well, and then I saw they undercooked it one time, and I was like, actually, you know what? I kind of like it this way.
I've gone from well done to medium well, so I'm progressing down.
You're slowly taking your time, getting down to the good spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Coach, going back to, you played at Seaholm, you've coached at Bellingham. Since Squalicum has been around now, it's kind of changed the atmosphere a little bit, but tell maybe some of the younger viewers or listeners about what the Bellingham Seaholm game used to be like. It was a rockin' show at Civic Stadium.
We talked about this every once in a while, and even with my kids, it was incredible. Civic Stadium was packed. Both sides were packed. It was loud. There was no love loss. We'd gone to middle school with a lot of those guys from Bellingham, but it was a pretty good rivalry where when it came game time, we didn't really like each other.
Yeah.
And it was, that was back in the yelling from one side to the other side, and basketball games. You'd have to get at basketball games by 4:30 just to watch the JV game. It was packed. But that was back in the good old days where you'd have the newspaper up when they're announcing their starting lineup and yelling back and forth and stuff that they don't really do so much anymore. But that rivalry it was just incredible. And it's starting to come back a little bit with Squalicum, I think.
Yeah.
But when you have those two schools and split the city up, it was fun to play games in that atmosphere.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, just watching the game film, you just hear a buzz in the crowd. I do have that game your senior year against Bellingham. Of course, that was a heart-crushing loss, but still, it was such a good game, and the crowd was so into it. I love those times.
Hold on, Tyler. One thing really quickly, Coach. You talked about yelling back and forth at each other. I'm gonna make a statement right now. I am sick and tired of the, I believe that we will win and these certain ones. I want teams and I want crowds to start doing the "We got spirit, yes we do" chant again. Nobody does that one anymore. And I used to love it when the crowds would get going back and forth at each other, or the bands are playing at each other sometimes. But the "We got spirit" chant, I want that one back, and I want it back right now. I want it back. I'm tired of it being away.
And so after every one of those chants, how did it finish? You recall?
So when I was in high school, typically the way we would finish it was if we were winning, it would be "We got spirit, we got more, we got spirit, check the score."
Yeah.
And I don't know how spirit was any better, but yeah.
That's
check
awesome.
The score. That was always how it ended, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Although I never could figure out exactly how having a crazier fan meant the score was going to go up, but hey, that's what we went with.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, your younger brother Chris was a heck of a player too at Seaholm as a lineman, and he's helping out at Mount Baker now. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So how does that go? Is you guys? I don't know if he's part of the coaching squad with the varsity, but he's helping out with the weight training and stuff like that. So he knows a lot of those kids. Are you guys sharing information, or how does that work out?
No, we don't. We kind of keep that off limits.
Yeah.
I do call upon him for some training advice. speed and agility advice. We kind of stay away from any of that. You know, I may ask him to flip Leper some crap every once in a while. Boy, you know, I think last year Leper had his golf tournament, so I gave my brother $1 and said, "Hey, give this to Ron and say that's my contribution." So that's pretty much it.
That's great.
What was it? Coach Ames said is going in there in Deming, Tyler?
Going in Deming, I don't remember.
A food place.
Oh yeah, they're putting in a Grant's Burgers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Grant's Burgers. That's right.
Yeah.
Coach, if you could go back and you look at any of these games you've played or coached in, if you could go back and redo one of them and get another shot at that game, which game would it be and why?
I think Tyler kind of just brought it back up. Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah,
The Bellingham Seahome game my senior year. If I had to do it all over again, I would have run the ball into the end zone. I had probably 2 yards to run the ball, and I decided to throw it and overthrew my tight end, Kyle Kirchhoff, just by a little bit. So
that was on a 2-point conversion, right, Coach?
That was on a 2-point conversion to win it at the very end. That probably would have put us in the playoffs had we won that game. That would have been the first time we'd been in the playoffs in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I still think about that.
When you think back to those teams that you played on there at Seahome, Coach, Tyler's having some problems over there. When you think back to those teams that you played on there at Seahome, who were some of the best players you played with, and who are? How about this? How about give me one name of a guy that maybe Tyler doesn't even know that he was the guy, he was the man, somebody that stood out to you as a player.
Gosh, you know, back then, that's, you know, you had this Sweats from Burlington or Mount Vernon. I can't remember which one. Tony Wolden was down in Mount Vernon. Cedar Woolley had some studs down there. One guy that kind of stood out, the toughest guy I've ever seen or played with is BJ Ortega. And he Saunders. Remember Saunders from Burlington too?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember Saunders and BJ. BJ was playing middle linebacker, and Saunders was Burlington's all-state probably running back, and they met at the line of scrimmage, and it sounded like an M80 going off. It was loud. They just a stalemate. They both just stood there, looked at each other, patted each other on the butt, and they went back to the respective huddles. But BJ was my center my junior year, and man, that guy protected me a lot. He's probably one of those unsung guys that was he tough. And we had some really good battles back in those days with Cedar Woolley and them. There were some good games.
Yeah. Is there relation, Tyler?
Yeah, it's Gavin's dad, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a large individual himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's
Tyler,
a teddy bear.
Oh, what's that? I'm sorry.
Anything, Tyler?
Well, I was going to say, I do remember BJ Ortega. I did have him in my top 500 list that I put out a few years ago, but that website has since crashed, and it's been 6 years. And so I'm going to probably wait another few years and then put out a top 1,000 list of Whatcom County football players. And that's going to be a lot of fun. Ryland's going to fall down there, it looks like. But
so there's a chance I could make the top.
There's a small chance, Coach. You guys just ran the ball, man.
Hey,
it's
5
hard.
to 10.
Yeah.
10. Don't forget about that.
No, I won't. There's been you were a heck of a player. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, I know a lot of people cling to that. And I know there are players that cling to what number they were, but it's been a long time. There's been a lot of great players since then I got to add in there. But Coach, I just want to thank you for, you know, coming up to me during baseball practice and saying, hey, you know, I love what you're doing and stuff like that. And I was so happy to see that after Rob stepped away, that there was somebody that I'm familiar with coming back to the program to head it up. And so it makes my job a lot easier to go to practice and allow me to do what I do. So So it's really cool that you're doing your second stint here with the Pioneers, and so I'm excited to come out to practice someday.
Yeah, you know what you do for our student athletes. Going back to how we grew up. You know, we grew up with those guys at the Bellingham Herald. Victor, I can't remember.
Victor
his last
Yoshida. Yeah.
Yoshida.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was a bond that we built with those guys,
Yeah.
and you could talk to them and you trusted them, and we're getting back to that now with what you're doing, and it's a great platform for our kids to get out and just talk with people in the media and get their stories out, and we can't thank you enough. The work you're doing. I know the time and energy you're putting into it and not getting paid for it, so we really appreciate that.
Well, it's a lot of fun, Coach, and if you're passionate about something, it just makes it funner,
Yeah. Now, if we can start to work on your wardrobe a little bit better, then.
Oh wow, what's that?
Well, Coach, last week he tried to look like Bob Ames. This week, I think he decided to go with that shirt once he found out you were in Arizona having a good time. Almost looks like you should have like a Mai Tai or something,
Yeah, right.
hanging out. Although, Tyler, you have gone down to Arizona a couple of times for spring training, right?
Yeah, 3 times.
Now, big In-N-Out guy, right?
Big time, yeah.
Coach, have you been to In-N-Out since you've been down there?
We went there this morning. This afternoon.
This morning?
My kids had their Zoom. They had to do their school stuff on Zoom, and so as soon as they were done, that's the first place we went.
Now, I got to ask, what was the order?
The double.
Yeah.
Tyler?
Yeah,
Double?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Myself, I usually go double animmal style. I like the animal style. And then I get the animal style fries. I mean, I don't know exactly what animal style is. I just know I put it on everything. So, Coke animal style, fries animal style, burger animal style. And you know what? I will say this, as a guy who fancies himself as a burger, I guess you'd say connoisseur, if you will. In-N-Out's, I don't know. It's not really my favorite place, but I will say whenever I'm down in Vegas or, Southern California, somehow, some way, I end up at In-N-Out.
Yeah.
I don't know how I always end up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing special. It's getting the In-N-Out burger.
Well, and I don't care what anybody says. They got the worst fries on the planet, and that's why you got to go animal style on them. Tyler, Nooksack Valley star on the map?
Right there,
The purple
star.
one. Why do I have a feeling like that star should be further up?
Yeah, well, I didn't make this sign. This was generously donated to me, but yeah, it should be right about there.
Now, Tyler, I don't want to take a shot at Nooksack Valley or anything, but if you scratch and sniff that star, does it smell like cows?
Oh man, it
No?
might smell like the back of TJ Ackerman's shirt after a long hot day in practice.
You know what,
I love
Coach,
you, TJ. I love you, TJ.
Coach, before we let you go, one thing I was reading in Eric Trent wrote an article for the Linden Tribune about your hiring. He mentioned that you had said that the coaching staff is going to stay relatively the same. Is that still the case?
Yeah. The full staff is the same. We've adjusted some roles on our staff, and we brought some other people in. BJ Salmonson is going to help us out a little bit, which is a huge addition. Anytime you can take that college experience and bring him in. We've had probably, I think, 16 practices. We're not having them anymore, obviously, but he was a great addition. And we practiced at night, so we had about 10 coaches out there, and we got a lot of stuff done. So the whole staff is there. TJ is actually going to be calling the offense now. And now that BJ's helping out, that allows him to kind of move away from the offensive line and help out with the calling of the plays and running 7-on-7, stuff like that. So we also added Tyler Perry. Him and Jesse Dykstra are going to help call the defense together. So, yeah, we got everybody back.
That's awesome. That's obviously a big thing for a team when you can kind of have that continuity and the athletes already know what the coach's expectations are and kind of some things. So that's awesome. Tyler, you got anything else before we head out?
Well, I don't want to dig on TJ anymore, but when he's punting at practice, I told him last year when I came out, I was like, if you need someone to punt, because your punt returner happens to be your punter, I get it, but TJ he can still punt a little bit. I'm just worried about him pulling a hamstring or something.
Well, we all are. When he does that, I get nervous.
Yeah.
I have my phone ready. I'm ready to dial 911. You never know if the big guy's going down, and we love him to death. And it's a fun group. We have changed. Our practice is a lot different than it has been the last couple of years. So it was an adjustment for our coaches a little bit, but I think everybody's embraced it. And TJ is still TJ out there, though. He's still going to do what he's going to do, and we appreciate it because he does it well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I don't have anything else, Tyler. If you don't got anything else, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Awesome.
Well, hey, we got to extend this. I got to beat Beeson, right? We got 3 more minutes. So
okay.
I can beat Beeson.
All right. How about this? Tyler told me that you've been watching some of the virtual season stuff. Have you been satisfied with your team's play?
Well, no. No.
Oh yeah, I didn't know anything about Cody Coppinger. I didn't even have him on the field. So.
I will tell you, there's been a couple games where I've gone back to practice and said, hey, TJ, I know you're calling the offense now, but you're fired. Tyler Perry and Jesse, you've given up way too many points, so we'll have to reevaluate what you guys do, because this is obviously what Tyler sees, and what Tyler sees is what goes on. So, it's been that has been really fun to watch, and again, the time that you put into that is incredible. The kids love it too. Kids, parents, it kind of fills that void right now.
Yeah.
So it fills the void for Tyler too, because I'm sure he watches every single one of them. Did you guys get a play in Ohio State Stadium this year in the virtual season?
Lyndon Christian's home field in that game, it happens to be Ohio State. Don't ask me how it happened.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to coach in Ohio State Stadium this virtual season?
I don't know if I did, but the Nooksack place looks like the old polo grounds from back in the 60s. Could you fix that a little bit for us?
Unfortunately, and it's a long explanation, but unfortunately, Tyler has no control over any of that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a big chunk of it I didn't have a control over. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it would have actually, if we're being completely honest, Tyler, it's probably a good thing you didn't have control over that, because you might not be done editing things right now. You would have made the helmets right. You would have made everything just insanely perfect.
Well, that's the other thing, Coach, is you guys have new jerseys this year?
Yeah, we got new jerseys. We painted our helmets back to the kind of that matte purple.
Yeah.
We're changing the look. Trying to change that attitude, change that culture a little bit. Not that Rob didn't have it going the right way, but it's just time for a change. And taking nothing away from Rob, but it's time to change and do something different.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of when the Seahawks jumped from the AFC to the NFC. They changed their jerseys. They got a new stadium. Everything kind of changed at the same time. Sometimes that's nice. You do a lot of changes at one time, and it can kind of kickstart some things. I saw a few pictures on the Facebook page of what the helmets and stuff like that. It looks awesome. Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, they look good underneath the lights.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I bet.
So new helmets, new jersey. Tyler, you mentioned the Seahawks got a new stadium. You guys getting a new stadium also, or
wouldn't that be nice?
Thing?
Yeah, that would be really nice. I know Blaine. I went out and toured Blaine's. What a beautiful field that is, and I think over time, eventually we'll get there. It would be really nice for not only the high school but the community and soccer and football and everything else that's going on out there. And cross our fingers. Hopefully, sometime down the road in the near future, that we'll get something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. I don't know. I love Nooksack. Personally, I'm a grass guy myself. I love grass.
Yeah.
But when I go out there and I can stand out on the field, and it's just that old stadium, and it just looks great with the mountains behind it, the hills, and then there's the Abbotsford to the north.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that place. I typically don't like stadiums that don't have a visitor's side of seating.
Yeah.
But there's something I like about Nooksack Valley Stadium and just the feel of the place. And I've never been to a actual game there. I've been to scrimmages. It was a week 0 scrimmage, I think, is what I went to a few years ago. And even then, there was a lot of people in the stands, and it was kind of loud, and people were having a good time. And one of these days, I got to get up there, because I think now, Tyler, I've seen a game at Ferndale. I've been to Meridian. I've been to Linden for the first time last year. I've been to Civic more times than I can count. So I still got a few to go. To catch up to Tyler in terms of seeing them all.
Well, I
You
tell
come
you,
up there and we'll our booster club Tom DeHogue, he makes a mean hamburger up there. You come on up there and I'll buy you a hamburger and you can sit and watch the game and you can do whatever you want on the sidelines there now.
It's it is a really cool place, and we spoke earlier about the first game I got to cover for the Bellingham Herald, which I really had no business doing. I never stepped foot in a journalism class, but it was so cool. I was so scared that first time, but every time I've been there since, it always makes me think back of that October night in 1999. So, and everybody there is so welcoming, and that's what I love about Nooksack is I've had parents come up to me and give me hugs that I didn't even know who they were. Yeah. And it's so welcoming. It's almost overly welcoming. And me being kind of a shy guy, it was a little intimidating at first. I've gotten used to it. I've loved every second of it. It's such a cool place to go, and it's kind of that epitome of high school football to me.
Yeah. So it is. It's got that small town feel to it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up there. We are at almost 37 minutes right here. So
perfect.
Tyler Anderson, Whatcom Preps. I guess Tyler, I can't say go look at the virtual season because it's over by the time people are hearing this, huh?
Yeah, there's no more games. By the time this will come out, you'll be able to click on the link still and watch any of the games. If you want to see any Whatcom County team against another Whatcom County team, minus Cody Coppinger, go for it. So you have a lot of fun with that.
And that can be found on whatcompreps.com in the upper left-hand corner. You can find the virtual season information. Tyler Anderson, whatcompreps.com. I'm Ryland Spencer, CascadiaPreps.com. Head coach Craig Bartl, thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.